Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. You got a dream. You got to protect it. You want something, go get it.
What's up, guys? Jay here with For the Love Podcast, episode 5. I'm here with my buddy Erick. Erick, what's going on?
What's going on, Jay? Happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I haven't seen you in forever, dude. I think, like we said, the last time I saw you was when you came here when I just bought this house, which I think was like 4 years ago, maybe.
At least, yeah.
Cozy Beach Ave, kind of ironic in a way.
It is.
Because that's where I met you. For people that don't know, I actually met Erick probably maybe over 10 years ago on this road. I don't know if it was on this road, but this road is very significant to our relationship, which is where I live now, Cozy Beach. I just remember moving into a house with you and 2 other buddies.
Yep.
And at a weird time of my life, probably everybody's life.
Yeah, definitely.
But the house was sick. It was right on the beach. We had our own little private beach. And when I look back now, I'm like, damn, those are some great times.
That was a great year.
Oh, my God, dude. I look back and I say that's probably one of the best times of my life, even though it was one of the hardest times of my life because I was going through some fucking crazy shit as usual.
Yep.
But I learned a lot from moving into that house. A lot of good relationships were built in that house. Obviously you're living with guys, 3 guys, different personalities, you butt heads, but that's all a part of the building of the relationships. So that's where we kind of built our relationship. We were roommates. How old are you now?
32.
Okay, you're 2 years younger than me. When you were living down here, was that the first time you ever lived down like on the shore?
That was, the first time.
Yeah, because you're from Bristol.
From Bristol.
So, difference? What's the difference?
It was great to live on the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a little private balcony off my room. I used to just go out there in the morning and just look at the water. I mean, Bristol, I grew up there, so anything's better than where you grow up.
Very true.
But
I think, what's crazy about that is I really feel this is, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I think for a lot of people it is that a lot of people are more successful when they leave their home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a lot of people that stayed in the same place their whole life that, yeah, they might be successful in a way of, doing okay. But whether they're really achieving their dreams or really living their life to the way they want to fulfill it, I don't see that happen. I feel like if you leave and go to other places, that's where these connections happen. That's where the brain starts thinking about other things in life and what you may want, what you may not want. So, I mean, you're coming out of an area that, and I've been up there because I had a buddy that lived in Bristol. When I met him, he was a police officer with me in the academy. And I went up there for a party one time. And it was kind of like a culture shock for me because of how I was dressed at the time. Up there, it was totally different. I look at it and I'm like, you tell me if I'm right. I went up there, I was wearing like, I don't even know at the time. Maybe it was like Travis Barker had like that famous brand. Remember those?
Yeah.
I was wearing like some shirt like that, whatever, and it was like totally different from what anybody up there would wear. And I was like an outcast or standing out. Now, when you came down here, what was your opinion?
Well, I think that style was more. So that was popular when I was in college. So from 2005 to 2009 was kind of that era where, you had the famous brand, you had that whole style, the Ed Hardy, all that kind of.
Yeah.
So I was bartending down here, but I was living in West Haven at school. So I never wanted to go back to Bristol. That's where I grew up. My family's there. I'm actually back there now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be born there, live there, die there. That's not what I intend to do. I'm there for now. I got a plan going on, but
Okay.
it works for now.
Yeah. I mean, the key is always having a plan and always kind of moving forward towards that every chance you can get. I always tell people, like, dude, listen, I wake up very early in the morning and I'm going all day. You know what I mean? You work 60-something hours a week on your normal job. You leave, you come home. If you have a dream, you hustle for that dream. You can't stop. You got to keep moving at all times. Yes, for me, I take breaks every once in a while, a day where I just do something where it's just for me, just for a relax type thing. But for the most part, you're not going to achieve what you really want if you're not pushing every day. Time is valuable. You know what I mean? So what's your plan? What is it that you're trying to do?
Well, the plan for being in Bristol when we bought our house was 3 to 5 years. My girlfriend, she's a teacher in Simsbury, and she's got a pretty good gig there. You know, she's very well liked. She's on the board for a bunch of things. She's a union rep. She's got her hands in a lot of things there. So, very well liked by a lot of the parents. So it's hard. She would be down to move out of state, try and find just somewhere different, see what else is going on in the world. You know, I grew up here. She grew up town over.
Right.
There's a lot out there. There's a lot you don't see. So we're planning. Hopefully this summer, we're gonna take some trips and we're gonna go out west. We're gonna do a little road trip, check out some towns, go south a little bit, North Carolina, Virginia. Nice. We're gonna go west, see what's going on, see what we like, see what we don't like, and kind of go from there. She can get a job being a teacher anywhere.
Yeah, that's a very versatile job.
Comparable, though, because Connecticut is one of the best paid states for being a teacher. And once you leave, I mean, that could be a very significant salary.
Have you guys looked into stuff like that?
We started a little bit here and there, yeah.
See, I look at it like this. Like, this state is just hammering us so much on everything that to really achieve dreams here is harder than anywhere else, because they want to take every penny from you. And it's true. You need money to really do these things on the side and push hard. Can't do it without money, and they're taking it all. Now, I mean, even me, dude, like, I look outside Connecticut all the time. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, so part of me wants to go back down there. I see Arizona. I really want to check out Arizona. Like Sedona, Arizona, Scottsdale. It looks awesome down there. Where are you trying to visit in the Midwest?
So I went on a hunting trip a couple years ago in Kansas, and me and my father drove from Connecticut to Kansas. It was like 21 hours. I think it was about 1,600 miles or 1,200 miles, something like that.
Pretty long.
But we did it over 2.5 days. Mm-hmm. So we drove, but we didn't. I mean, you're just driving to get somewhere. We didn't stop and see what everything's about. So if we were to go, you know, we're going to do some research and kind of plan out, okay, we want to stop here, check this spot out. We want to, based on the demographic and how it would affect our life and make it work.
Yeah.
So
gotcha. So you like that area?
I like the Midwest because, I mean, I'm a big outdoors person. Yeah. I like being in the outdoors. When I was younger, I enjoyed the city. I bartended for 10 years downtown New Haven. I bartended in Hartford. I bartended Stratford, Brantford, all over the place.
I remember those days, dude. Bartending, you bartending, me DJing.
Yeah,
that we really did have a lot of fun in those days.
We had a lot of fun.
And I look back and I'm, you know, I really can't say I have that many regrets because we really had a good crew. We weren't like, you know, out doing crazy shit really. But we had fun with each other, and I look back and I really do cherish a lot of those times.
We had a lot of good times. And those, when you look back now, you're like, man, those were our good old days in a sense. You know, when you were young, you didn't have too much responsibility, but you still did. But you could still go out, have fun.
It's weird because I tell people, like, I'm like, shit, everything that your parents said to you or older people said to you is really true. Like, you're gonna, you know, look back at these times, you're gonna miss them, you're gonna this, and shit, you do, because life gets real, life gets hard, you know, responsibilities, bills, all these things never stop.
Never.
And that's when you look back and you're like, shit, that really was the best time I've ever had.
Yeah.
And yeah, those times are good. But yeah, dude, the Midwest is awesome, man. My dad lives in Michigan, and I try to go up there pretty often, as much as I can, 1 to 2 times a year maybe. And obviously they have tons of lakes. That's what they're known for. My aunt has a lake, a cabin on a lake up there. It's just so beautiful. And the lake, you would think that, I mean, at least from the water here, because you don't know any better, the water's crystal clear.
Yeah.
It's wild. And we even went to I've obviously when I was young I've been to these places many times, but recently we went to Lake Michigan, and the thing's like an ocean.
Yeah. It's huge.
It's more impressive than this. You know what I mean? Than Long Island Sound.
Long Island Sound is not very great, but
no. I mean, the thing about New England though is like fall is very nice here. I love fall.
I enjoy having 4 seasons.
Yeah,
right?
and I do like that stuff. Even the summer here is a lot different than anywhere else. You know what I mean? The beaches are a lot different. It just has that New England feel. Everything does. So like my main goal would to be one day to hopefully be able to have houses in multiple states, so I can really live how I want to live and see different areas whenever I feel like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not be stuck in just one spot. That's my goal. So eventually, yeah, you want to take off like most people in Connecticut. That's definitely what's happening. I see articles every day about how many people leaving, businesses leaving. It's killing us, dude. Killing us.
Everybody's leaving.
I mean, I'm very vocal about politics. I never really followed politics. Probably not until maybe like 9/11 started happening, stuff like that. That's when I really started kind of like watching politics more. I never supported anybody. I never was like a Republican or a Democrat. And then when like this past administration, the Obama administration came in, that really like opened my eyes, because not just my career, it affected my profession a lot, how we were getting treated and how the administration was really not caring. But just the amount of lies and dishonesty and seeing where our money's really going, that's where like information comes to about now. And this is why everything's so crazy, because we're in a generation where information's everywhere. So now when you've seen this new push of the Trump era, things start to get exposed, and you can't stop it because of the internet.
Right.
And it's getting nuts. I can't go anywhere without hearing anybody talk about this shit. It's crazy. I get into it. I can't help it. You know, what's your deal? Do you get involved in any of this shit?
I mean, I never really followed politics for a while, and I was same as you. I wasn't really a Democrat, Republican. I didn't really pay attention to it. It didn't really affect me when I was younger, or nor did I think it affected me. Yeah. I was just kind of living the good old days, you know. With president's the president, whatever, is what it is. But until you grow up and those decisions are starting to impact your life, your financials, your money, your house, your land, what you do on a daily basis, where you go, how you travel, how you get to work, then you got to really start and look at, you know, how is this going to affect me? When you're younger, you don't care. When it's now your money on the line, that, you know, their views, what's going on, you kind of have to pay attention to it. If you don't, then you're one of those people that's going to argue about, the president, but if you're not the one voting on it, you really can't say anything. You
got to be informed. You can't argue with no basis and no knowledge or education on the fact. And you're absolutely right. The money aspect is what makes me the most angry, because I only see these people that are lying to our faces basically to get rich. I mean, they're not very, very few of them are not rich. Let's just say that. It's a job where they get in there, and maybe they get in there doing the right things, but most of them don't, and they're utilizing our money improperly. And it kills me, because we could all be living better lives. And it's hard for me to get that out of my mind that these people are basically stealing our money or mismanaging our money, and I could be living a much better life. I could have a lot more money in my pocket. What the hell?
Right. Spending our money on things that we don't need to spend it on.
Crazy, dude. So that's why, I mean, the state really is hard. It's hard to say because I don't see anything good happening. It was crazy. I saw an article when the new year just happened. They're obviously a decade ended. So they showed the housing market from Connecticut, I think New York, and then I think Mass. Mass's market went up like 20% or some shit like that. Our market went down 0.5%. I'm like, how is that even possible? We're miles apart from each other. That shows you how badly mismanaged this state is. I'm not trying to lose money. I'm not in the market to lose money. Most people aren't, and this state's making it really hard to not do that.
That is true. But I mean, we live in a democratic state, and you got a lot of people that are complaining about spending money, and then another Democrat gets elected, and what do they think is going to happen?
Yeah.
That taxes aren't going to go up again? Of
Well,
course. I mean,
if you've seen the inside scoops of how these people are getting elected and what they're pandering to, they come to these urban cities such as New Haven, Hartford, Bridgeport, and they will drive around and they will pick up homeless people. They will pick up drug addicts and alcoholics and people that just are unfortunate, and they will give them things, and they will drive them to the polling stations, and that's how they will get their votes. Because if you really look, these people are not getting their votes anywhere else in the state, but in these urban cities, they win every one of them because they promise the world to these people. And what they don't understand is, in reality, they're just keeping these people down. You know what I mean? They're just keeping these people down. They're not really helping you at all.
No, they're just enabling the same behavior.
Right. I mean, I see it all the time, and it just boggles my mind. It drives me insane. But when you bought your house, this is your first house?
Yep.
Yeah. How was that?
It was pretty stressful, especially when you're doing it, with somebody else, and which it was fine. We drove around, we looked at a bunch of houses, and we'd walk in and go, nope, walk out. Yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time looking. We knew what we wanted, but we knew we weren't going to stay there forever, so we weren't super, super picky. I mean, we wanted something that we could move into, do a couple projects, not go over the top.
Smart.
And, try to make some money on it.
Yeah,
in a few years.
I think a lot of people don't think of things like that, and that's very smart, especially on your first house, because I know I didn't. I probably rushed my first house, but it worked out for me and all in all. But very stressful. Even selling a house is even more stressful. I don't want anything to do with any of that stuff anymore. And then I talk to people who because I had a rental. I don't want to do anything with rentals. It's a pain in the ass. You get people that you got to evict. They don't respect the property. All these things. I want nothing to do with real estate. Flipping houses is a different story. I would do stuff like that. But the market, I don't trust the market here. You know what I'm saying? I look at a lot of houses, like I said, in Florida. I would do it. A dream of mine is always to have like a penthouse down in South Florida with just glass, at the top floor, surrounded by the ocean. That's my dream, But maybe one day I'll have it. Maybe this podcast will blow up, make millions, and
anything's possible.
You're all invited if it happens. Okay. So let's get into some crazy shit that happened to you recently. I've known you for a long time, and I remember you telling me a while back, because I was always into fitness, and there was a time where you even trained with me at Powerhouse for a little while. Remember that?
Yep.
There's a lot of people that came through there and trained with me during that time, but you had a specific medical condition that affected your kidneys, and I remember you telling me a long time ago, because you couldn't take in a lot of protein, things like that. Was that something you always had?
Yeah, so it's hereditary. I got it. My grandmother had it. My uncle has it, and I got it. It's passed through the female gene. it's basically a deformity in one of the genes. It's called Alport syndrome. And, yeah, so I found out, well, my parents found out when I was like 18 months old or something like that through a blood test. And I didn't really have any issues really until around 7th grade. And that's when I noticed I really couldn't hear that well.
Really?
So that's when
Affects that, really?
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
I got hearing aids in 7th grade, which that was a little hurdle to overcome. Nobody, you're young, people make fun of you, whatever. But
Yeah.
I actually went to a private school, so it wasn't that bad. My graduating class was 8 kids, so
Oh, shit.
it wasn't
That's very private.
too popular.
Maybe you got a better education.
Yes and no. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't know any different at the time.
Yeah, right.
But then when I went to high school, I went to a public high school, and I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved high school.
That was in Bristol?
It was.
Yeah. Now, when this kidney issue was basically your whole life, it's crazy. Like, they don't know why this affects your family?
It's not necessarily. It's just a deformity, a gene deformity.
That's why I always tell people that it's very important to know your genetics. I'm a big health guy. I'm fitness, all that stuff, but I really tell people, like, prevention is key, because if you know your genetics, you know what diseases in your family, all these things you can prevent or at least avoid certain aspects.
Sure.
So you start, basically. That's kind of weird how it affects your hearing. I never heard that. I never knew. I know kidneys obviously have a lot to do with a lot, but I didn't know it was a part to do with your hearing.
Yeah, it does. So it's your kidneys produce a collagen that's good for your ears. I mean, I haven't done a ton of research. It's basically what my doctors told me.
Yeah.
And
do they recommend that you take in collagen?
no, not really. It's not gonna.
Doesn't change anything.
Yeah, and the new kidney is not going to reverse anything. So basically, any hearing loss that I already have is not going to come back unless, hopefully one day they'll have something besides hearing aids or the cochlear ear implant.
So for people who don't know, and we're going to get to the story, is Erick had a genetic disorder for his kidney, and eventually he needs a kidney transplant. We'll get to that, but when do you start to really have problems?
So that's the crazy part. So I knew in high school, I knew in college, and I'd always have to go get blood work twice a year to check my levels, see what my GFR is, which is like your filtration rate. So between 100%, it was like the normal person would have basically around 100% filtration rate.
Right.
So they would check that twice a year, and I knew at some point that I would need a kidney transplant. My doctors told me it would be in my early 20s, which my uncle had his first one at 21. So in my younger years, I enjoyed my time. I lived my life the way, knowing that, down the road I would lose some things and not be able to do certain things. So, I partied and I had my fun and I lived my best life.
Well, you kind of passed the age where they told you it was going to happen, no?
I did, yeah. So I was still working after college, and I was still getting my blood checked. And there was a couple years where I was working for a construction company. And I didn't have insurance, so I never got my blood test for, I think it was almost 3 years. And then I started for a new company. And my girlfriend's like, "Oh, you got to go get blood work done. Go get your blood work done. You got insurance now." I was always putting it off.
Yeah.
I said,
a lot of men do that. A lot of men. It's funny because it's funny that your girl had to push you, because we're stubborn as hell. I mean, I'm not. I'm OCD and I'm a hypochondriac, I guess. But to me, like I said, prevention is everything. But most men, they put all that shit off, and you put it off for 3 years mainly because you didn't have insurance, which is another topic for another day, insurance and all that shit. But you get your blood work, which, listen, people, I'm a big believer in getting blood work. Blood work can tell a lot. So it's so simple. Do it. And donating blood. Donating blood actually not only saves lives, but it helps you from having heart attacks, strokes, your blood getting thick. I donate blood probably every 2 months now, because it's almost like an oil change for the body. So you get your blood tested, and what happens?
So I go get my blood work done, and they call me back, and they say, we got to have a meeting with you to go over your blood results. So I go in, and I'm nervous. I'm like, this is going to be good. I knew that this time. I go, this is going to be the bad news day that they're going to tell me, and reality is going to be.
Yeah, that's got to be crazy, dude. Because the fact that your whole life that there's going to be a day that comes, it's almost like you're anticipating that every single day. No?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about it all the time, just because me thinking about it and dwelling on it wasn't going to change the fact of the way my body was deteriorating at that point.
Yeah.
So it really would be just worrying for nothing.
Right.
So I kind of didn't worry about it for a lot of years, and I just said, what, I'm like everybody else, but I got hearing aids, whatever.
Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, I would have never even known if you didn't tell me. I didn't even know you had hearing aids, really. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't.
I didn't know anything like that.
And they're like, oh, and then they ask, what happened? And they're like, oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and to be honest, part of the reason why I have you here, not just your story, but you were always a chill dude. You're so chill, bro. And I love that, because to me, I connect with people very well when they're like that. They have personalities like that. I mean, you were always cool. I don't think we ever really butted heads ever.
No.
But I look at you and I'm like, damn, man, another strong dude, because for you to have that mindset your whole life and say, listen, I know that one day this is going to happen, but I'm just going to put it out of my head and live my life. That's very strong. Very proud of you for that. And that's why I bring people like you on here to tell your stories, because strong ass people out there that are just everyday people. So you go to the doctors, what happens?
So I go in, and she brings in the paperwork. She's reading it off, and she goes, well, so your GFR is at 14. So basically my filtration rate was at 14%. And now that's
low. No?
That's considered stage 4, your end stage kidney failure.
You didn't feel like nothing?
I didn't feel like I was. I mean, I was always tired, just because I never really had full function of.
Yeah, you're not detoxing your body really properly.
No,
you know.
So
what I mean?
you're everything is not getting
backed up, toxic.
Cleaned properly and everything like that. So like I would be tired, but I'd work, I'd take a nap sometimes. Sometimes I'd sleep for 12 hours and wake up and still be tired, which I probably slept too long anyway.
Yeah, you just thought it was normal.
That was my normal.
And I do remember you always sleeping a lot, even when you lived with me.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I just always thought you were like one of those dudes that just likes to sleep.
No, I mean, at that time, too, I was bartending. I wouldn't get home till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd sleep till 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
true that.
But that was my normal. So I never thought anything different, like, I must be sick because I'm sleeping all the time. But that was my normal. Yeah. That's how I felt on every. I don't know what a normal person feels like.
Yeah, believe me, I've been there where you're like, is this how everybody feels?
Right.
I said that to myself before when my body was feeling like shit for a long period of time and stuff, and until I really got it in check. I would say that to myself all the time, and then you almost just accept it. You're like, whatever. Like, this is just every day, so I don't know how to fix it. I guess this is just how you feel as an adult. That's what I say.
Yeah.
But so you go there, they tell you that you're at 14%, which is low. Wow, you said normal people are at 100. And so what are they saying?
So they said basically they put me on a renal diet, which was awful. Not awful. I mean, you go from eating whatever you want to now you can't have anything with. Everything's got to be low sodium, no potassium. So it's like nothing potato based, nothing tomato based, no like low sugar, low magnesium, which is basically my whole diet. If you look at packages and you look at what's in stuff, because it's harder for your body to process.
Really?
It's harder on the kidney.
Oh, so those specific things.
So a renal diet is basically like a kidney diet.
Gotcha, yeah.
So they put me on that to keep the level of function that I have as stable as they could, because they don't know since I had no prior blood work, they don't know if it's rapidly declining
Yeah.
or if I've been at 16, 17% for a while.
Well, don't people live with one kidney?
They do, but those people that donate a kidney that have one, say that, okay, they went from 2 kidneys at 100% down to 1 kidney. Now they're at 50%.
Right. Tough life.
That other kidney is going to grow to compensate for the one it just lost.
Oh, it gets bigger.
Yeah, so that kidney is going to grow to take on the load that it needs to filter that person's body.
So that was an option for you, no?
Not for me.
Why? Because what I'm saying is this. If you lose that one kidney that you had at 14%.
No, so I had 14% with both of them.
Oh.
So I was at 14% with both my kidneys.
Wow, I didn't know this affected both.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So they said, you need to go on this diet. We need to get blood work done every 2 weeks. And then you need to look at kidney transplant options, which is getting on a donor list, which state of Connecticut's 4 to 6 years, depending on when you can get a kidney.
Wow.
And then you got to look on living donors, and then you got to look into dialysis.
So there's living donors, huh?
Yeah. Which would basically be somebody that's willing to get tested and see if they match.
Gotcha.
And
so you're basically both your kidneys are failing, which I didn't even know because I don't know too much about this process. But so you're really looking for one good kidney.
Correct.
Gotcha. So what's going through your mind at this time?
So
You knew it was coming.
I left that meeting, that doctor's appointment, and I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, that was the point where I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, I cried on the way home. I had to call my boss. I'm like, listen, like, this is what's going on. And he's like, dude, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? You know, I didn't feel any different. I didn't know that's where I was at.
That's wild.
So it was a lot. Like, I had to make a lot of appointments. I had to tell a lot of people. Everybody starts worrying about you, which I'm the kind of person I'm real laid back. I try not to get in any drama. I don't want to be involved in anybody's drama.
Yep.
And I just,
Tough.
I'm just chill, dude.
Your whole life is kind of turned upside down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now that you're still here and you can look back, I bet you that support that you had and seeing all these people really care about you, it really means something crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was. So I made an appointment with the hospital. I got to go in there. I said they're talking about the options of deceased donors getting on the list, everything like that. They talk about living donors, and I said, well, I'm gonna try. If anybody wants to get tested, I know my mother, my whole life, she was like, I'm gonna give you a kidney. I didn't give one to my brother because I know you're gonna need one day. And
Oh wow, yeah.
And she was always
That's crazy. So
always trying to make sure that I would have a kidney if I needed one, because she always felt terrible that because that gene is passed through the female. So my mother doesn't have it.
Have people in your family passed from it?
Well, my grandmother, she passed at, I think she was 74. But she had 2 kidney transplants in her life, and she needed another one, and she goes, I'm not doing it again. So that basically, her body just failed because of that.
Yeah.
But my uncle, he had 2 transplants. He had one when he was 21. He just had another one. It's probably 6 years old now.
Still here.
He's still here.
Cool. So you're still here. So how do you get yours?
So we had meetings, and people were like, oh, I want to test. And they hand out all these packets. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of people to test. I'm like, I know a bunch of people. And everyone's always like, oh, if you ever need a kidney, dude, hit me up. So I'm like, all right. I remember when you said this. I called some people up, and I didn't tell a lot of people, but my family, my brother, my father, I didn't even ask them because I know he's not in the best health. They would have denied him anyway he's got diabetes, so you're out. So there's a lot of factors that factor you out.
Right.
So like my girlfriend's parents, they went the first meeting, they're like, give me a packet. I'm like, her brother, her sister. I'm like, geez.
How long were you with her at this point in time?
About 2.5 years.
Okay, so that's not a real long time, but it's a decent time. It's enough to really care about each other and know whether you want a future together and stuff like that. So she was very supportive. So, okay, continue.
Yeah, so like we bought our house in August, and then this was in October. I find this out.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
oh my
Oh.
god! So it's it's
A lot on your plate.
yeah. So my girlfriend goes, oh, I'll give you a kidney. Don't worry about it. I'll give you mine. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's really gonna. I'm like, there's a lot that goes into that. You can't just be like, well, just take mine,
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we'll see. So she tests, and, a couple other people, my brother and some other people tested, and she ended up being a match, which I never in a million years would have thought that. And I go, no, I'm not taking. I don't want to take your kidney. That's.
And she was willing.
And she was like, no, you can. It's there if you want it. You can have it.
Like,
if you don't want it,
like-
you don't have to
like-
have it. But it's like it's one of those things where you look
Almost
at it
no
and you're
fear.
like, no fear. She goes, if it's going to make you live longer and I'll have more time with you, I'll give you mine.
Unbelievably awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy awesome.
There's not that many people out there that would do that, and there were some people out there that were like, I mean, I'm not the one person to talk negative. I'm trying to be more positive. Ever since this, it really opened my eyes to being positive about situations and leaving all that negative garbage
That really is what life is about.
away, because there's nothing good comes from it. So there's a lot of people that are like, oh,
Yeah, 100%.
which is fine. Everyone, is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So we go through the process, and my mother was always like, I'm going to give you mine. And it was taking a while for stuff to happen, and she got denied because of a couple things. So it came down to the point where it was like, all right, well, one of my buddies is getting married, and I'm in the wedding, and I don't know when. Like, I have to schedule this thing. It's like, all right, if I'm doing it, either I got to go on dialysis or I got to get a kidney.
Right.
And so my girlfriend ended up giving me a kidney.
Damn, bro.
Which-
So with no hesitation.
No hesitation.
Now, how do you basically come to that conclusion that this is definitely going to happen? She's giving me this.
I don't know. It was in the beginning. I was like, nah, I can't do that. What if things don't work out with us, and what happens then? We're still new. We bought a house. What if we
That
go
is
move in
something, yeah.
together, and all of
That
a
is
sudden we
something.
can't live with each other?
Yeah. Thought
And I'm
process is
thinking all
good,
this
okay.
stuff like, what if in a year from now it doesn't work out, and then you just gave me a kidney, opened your body up, got scars to give me something, and I'm like, it doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. That was a big factor in my mind.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about. It was stressful. There's no way to make that decision and be like, oh, I'm going to wait for something better. And then you got someone that's like, I'm going to give you something. You're like, let me wait for something that's better. Like,
Yeah.
well, mine's not good enough.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here offering you one of my organs.
Yeah. That had to make you feel like something you've probably never felt before in your life. And I've had these feelings where it's something you never experienced ever. And that feeling of it is also something you've never experienced ever. And those feelings exist. And we don't know they exist until this shit happens.
Yeah. And it was very real.
Yeah.
It was tough. Because there's so many things that go through your mind at that point that you never would think of, and how it would change your life and that other person's life. And
How long from when you guys make the decision to give you the kidney does the actual transplant happen?
so I found out I needed a kidney or dialysis in October, like middle of October, and then through the process of people testing, I think it was the middle of January, beginning of January, something like that.
Pretty fast.
And then it was the transplant was scheduled for February 4th.
Okay.
So come February 4th, a couple days prior to that, my girlfriend's legs, for whatever reason, I think it was stress, a little bit of
maybe.
anxiety.
Uh-huh.
She was eating the renal diet with me. We lived
really?
together, so
Was that a requirement, or she just did
not
it?
for her, but we, instead of
Oh,
cooking
man.
2 meals or whatever.
Bro,
So
what a good girl.
And so she had low potassium, so she was having leg spasms. She couldn't even walk for like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So we had to postpone the transplant. She felt terrible. I'm like, don't worry about it. I was like, you just gave me 2 more weeks, I don't have to go into surgery. But I was actually relieved. I'm like, all right, we could, give me. I wasn't ready. I was. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely, me
and
too.
It was just something that we had to overcome together. And we went to physical therapy. She got her legs worked on, and it was what it was. And
Damn,
so
bro.
the transplant happened March 5th of 2019.
How long is a surgery like that?
It's about 4 to 6 hours.
Okay, that's pretty decently long, but it's nothing crazy. My question now is, obviously you guys survived this.
Right.
You come out of it. How did you feel after that, physically?
Like when I first came out of it, when I woke up.
Yeah, not not exactly when you wake up, but like feeling wise, like pain, things of that nature.
So they gave us some pretty good pain meds, which is funny because we had a bet. Me and my girl had a bet, right? So she goes, who's going to walk first out of surgery, right? I go, oh, it's not going to be you, I'm going to be walking before you.
Yeah.
And so she came out of surgery first. I get wheeled to my room, and like 20 minutes later, she comes walking in my room, and I go, are you kidding me? I couldn't even lift my leg. Like, how are you walking? And
Really?
all the doctors knew we had this bet going on, and like, oh, she's very, she got an alpha personality. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to win. So
That's
we're competitive, but it's good though,
Oh yeah, pushes each other.
But it was definitely painful.
Yeah.
The first day they made us walk. That night they made us walk. I made it. I mean, just to get out of the bed was a chore, and I walked from my bed to the wall.
Yeah.
To that day, which is 10 feet maybe. And the next day I woke up. I walked from the bed to the door, and then because you take a step. They cut through all you. So they took her left kidney, and they attached it to my right side. So it's like it's really right here.
Really? Okay.
So they put it right in front.
Is that really where the kidney is?
It's right here.
Really? So if you ever get pain, it's really in here. It's really a kidney. You think?
No, your kidneys are in the back.
In the back, right?
But they put it right here.
Oh, that's what. So they put yours.
So that's
kind of
where
in the
that
front.
kidney is sitting right here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
so they
interesting.
cut through all these muscles in your stomach.
Yeah.
And when I took it feels like you're just gonna open right up.
But for her, she doesn't have the same spot.
No, so they went through like her belly button.
Oh, okay.
She was on her side. They went through the belly
probably
button.
a lot easier on the body than
I
cutting
think it's
through
just
muscles.
the easiest way to get to it.
Yeah. But when you're cutting through muscles, that's gotta be painful, especially afterwards.
Yeah.
She probably didn't have muscles cut through really.
No, she's got a scar from her belly button, and then she's got 2 on the side.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So she got cut this way, and vertical and horizontal.
Yeah.
So it was.
How long in the hospital
So
for recovery?
She got discharged in 2 days.
Wow.
I got discharged in 3 days.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, they want you up, moving around.
Yeah, right.
They don't want you in a bed,
Good.
blood clots, stuff like that.
What hospital was this?
Hartford Hospital.
Okay. Good experience.
I loved Hartford Hospital. They did my grandmother's transplants, my uncle's transplants.
Yeah.
And my coordinators, my team that I had were phenomenal. Like I still talk to my coordinator.
That's awesome.
We go fishing.
Really?
That's
great,
he's awesome.
That's awesome.
And I just think everybody down there, we had a really good team and felt very confident with everybody that we had.
That's all. That's probably
It was a
very
huge
important
part of it.
big aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's great that these people I think I obviously go to hospitals a lot in my profession, so these professions are very similar. You're working in a high stress, high emotion career, and there's times where you really need to be making people feel good and feel comfortable and better. And that was a time where, listen, I see doctors running around, they're in the ERs, this, that, whatever, and a lot of times you might be dealing with just minor shit, just like a police officer. But there's times when you're dealing with some real deal shit, such as yours, and you need to make that person feel better. So that's cool that you were able to get that from them. That shows a lot of professionalism. So you leave the hospital. How did the rest of the recovery go? Obviously, physical therapy, stuff like that. But as for complications, any complications after?
So I got discharged after 3 days, and I went home. My brother came and saw me the next day, and I think I was changing my shirt or something like that, and he's like, "Dude, you're breaking out in hives." My brother's a cop. He's a detective now, but he came and saw me, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I'm like, maybe it was something on my shirt or whatever. I went and took a shower. I came out because I was, dude, it's getting worse. So I had to call the hospital, and they told me to come back in.
Yeah,
so
right away.
I go back, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Oh fuck, what's going on?" This is my first surgery ever. I've never had a surgery before, and now something's going on, and I'm a nervous wreck. So I get there, and they're like, "Oh, you're having an allergic reaction to one of the medications we're giving you."
Yeah.
Because the steroid that they gave me during the surgery finally is wearing off, and now my body's reacting to something. But they go, "We got to have you on all these medications, and we don't know which one's causing it."
Oh, man.
So I stayed in the hospital for 4 more days.
For them to figure that out.
And they didn't know what was going on. I was getting a fever. And they're like, "Oh, we're just going to watch you, monitor you." So for the next 4 days, I had a fever. And they're trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And they ended up on the second to last. So I was there for 4 days. On the third day, they started giving me my medication not all together.
Yeah.
They were spreading it out a little bit.
Okay, smart.
And then I finally, one day, they gave me one of them, one of my anti-rejection medications. And I noticed like 45 minutes after that, I started feeling like I was getting a fever.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Okay, that's good to know." So the next morning, so every 12 hours, I have to take these medications.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
Get out of here.
The rest of my life.
Wow.
Every 12 hours, I got to take.
Is it a lot?
Yes and no. I mean, so I got to take like some blood pressure medication. I got to take, obviously a 1-a-day multivitamin, but I got 2 anti-rejection medications I got to take.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I had to take a antifungal, an antibacterial, and an antiviral. So the antifungal I had to take every day for a month. The antiviral was every day for 3 months, and then the antibacterial I'm still on. That's for a whole year.
Okay.
But so they ended up giving me the next day after the fever. They switched one of my meds up, and I didn't get a fever. So they're like, "All right, well, let's see how you are for the rest of the day until the next dose." And then I was fine. And then they said, "All right, we're gonna send you home."
Cool.
And since then, I haven't really had anything. Really, everything was smooth sailing, which is I'm blessed for that because a lot of people have. I know a couple people that had transplants after me, and they've had some very serious problems. Always going back in, their body's starting to reject the kidney, and they got to go in for all these shots and all this medication. And
now, what about your girl? She had any issues?
No, she's
good.
She went back to work in 7 weeks.
Wow,
I couldn't go back. So for the first 3 months, I couldn't lift more than a gallon of water.
Yeah.
So for 12 weeks, I couldn't lift more than 8 pounds.
Damn.
So you do everything your whole life by yourself, and then you got to rely on people to do.
Yeah.
Hey, can you fill up my water bottle for me? You know what I mean? Like
that's when you start to probably become very humble.
Yes.
You know,
very.
You start to say, "Wow, the things you think that matter in life don't."
They don't. They really don't.
Yeah, I've been there, and that's actually a blessing to really understand that. But it's weird how life makes you go through this crazy roller coaster ride to get these realizations. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to see you too, was because I wanted to see where your head was at after this, because I always knew you were a strong dude, a very chill dude, and I'm super proud of you for getting through all that and still being the same person. If anything, being even more open-minded and more enlightened. And you told me, you know, the reason this happens in life is really unknown. You know what I mean? But what comes from it is very powerful. And it made you really... this is really the story of your life.
Yeah.
It's the most important aspect.
It was crazy to see how many people reached out and how many people like wanted to help or whatever. Can we drop water off? Can we? You know, that was definitely an eye opener of people that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that I thought I would hear from, and there were a lot of people that I never would have thought I would have heard from.
Yeah.
And it was almost the exact opposite. There was people that
I'm sure
that I was been friends with for 15 years where I never even heard from them.
Yeah.
And it was people that were like, that I haven't talked to 5-6 years. Like, dude, what can I do? How can I help you? I'm coming over. Tell me what you need me to do. Whatever. Yeah. And it was, I think that part was one of the bigger lessons that I learned. It's not, and you can say, okay, I'm friends with these people, and because I've been friends for so long, you stay friends with people, but you outgrow friendships, and in certain situations, you realize who your real friends are, and who's really going to be there for you when 100%. Shit is. You know, when you need it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know me. You know everything I've been through. And it's ironic because while you were going through a very hard time, I was going through one at the same time. And that experience that I went through really changed my life. At the same time, your life was being changed. My life was being changed. At least my thought process and how I live my life. And it's very easy to fall into negativity when these things happen to you in your life. And a part of me, to be completely honest, I wish I was there for you a little more during that time. And I apologize if I wasn't.
No, it's all good.
But the reason I say that is because I look back now and I say, wow, a lot of what I was going through shut me out, if you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't become so self-absorbed with what's going on in your life that even though you're still trying to be that good person that you're always trying to be, it becomes overwhelming. And I'm sure you were feeling the same thing. And it's just ironic how at the same aspect, the same point in time in life, we were both going through similar hardships in life. And we've always had similar personalities. You are probably way more of a chill dude than I am. And I'm pretty chill. I'm really chill now. But, you know, back in the day, we did have some wild times and some wild, 20s. I look back at my 20s. I'm like, damn, dude. I'm like, you know what? I can't even believe the drama. Like, how much drama there was in my 20s and, late nights and all those things. But man, you're doing awesome with the health, so I'm really proud of you for that. Your house is in Bristol?
Yep.
So let's talk about the hot topic here. Everybody knows Erick Hernandez, and you watched the documentary.
I did.
What was your opinion?
My opinion of the documentary would have to be about it was just other people's opinions was the documentary, basically.
Yeah.
Because you can't call it inside the mind of Erick Hernandez, and nobody knows really what he was thinking.
You're right. That's what I tell people. I say, this show is the people who create these shows, and this is why I'm trying to help people understand that there's, what's outside of entertainment and TV and media and what you think you're seeing is there's a real story going on outside of it in a real life. Same with Erick Hernandez. You know what I mean? Same with you. Same with me. Same with anybody. If there's something on TV, 90% of it is probably not really what's going on. They're meant to do this. They want to get you to debate. They want to get you to question things and be mad at him, like him, all these things. You weren't extremely close with him, but you've been around him and you kind of grew up. Your childhoods were similar. You went to high school with him, right?
I did, yeah. Yep.
So when was your first, when did you first start to meet him?
Well, I knew him when I was a little kid because my grandmother's house was right down the street from where he grew up.
Yeah.
So we played, we were kids. We'd play football. We played basketball. They had a basketball court in their backyard. The neighborhood kids, we'd all get up there and play, and
Yeah.
but it wasn't really. I didn't really. It's just being kids. You think
Right.
about people when you grow up. Kids are just, I played with Johnny over on
Yeah.
Smith Street, but
So then you start to get a little bit older. You get to high school. When did he people start to see that he was like maybe different in like a manner of athletically gifted?
So I mean, his freshman year, he was for football, he was in that. So his freshman year, I was a junior. I didn't play football my junior year, but I knew he was good then because he just tore it up.
Really?
And my senior year, so I played football my freshman year. I didn't play sophomore, junior year, and I should have. And I didn't want to go to the practices, and I didn't want to do that. And my senior year said, I got to play because if I don't play, I'm going to regret not playing. So I played.
Nice.
And that was his sophomore year.
Same team.
And
you guys play on?
yeah, so
Was he
I
playing
wasn't that
varsity
great.
at this time though?
He was playing. He was definitely on JV. I think he was getting some varsity time as well.
Yeah.
So I played JV too because I wasn't that great of a football. I'm not going to sit here and say I was a great football player because
I got you.
I just wanted to hit people.
I
They
played.
wanted
I
me to
wasn't
play
good either.
offense. I'm like, I just want to hit people. So
Yeah.
I played free safety and I was on special teams. But he was a beast, and he was always
Big kid.
he's
Always bigger.
He was tall, but he wasn't as
It's funny
he's
'cause
young.
When I'm watching it, my girl's saying to me, he always looked like he was so older than everybody. You know what I mean? Even in high school, like you look at him, he looked like he was in his 30s almost. That's how we looked at it.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't think so. I mean, I always saw him. I knew his brother, and he always looked like a little kid. He was always joking around. He was always trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Always having a good time. Never serious about anything. And
Never really had enemies. Wasn't like reckless or anything at that time.
Everybody liked him.
Yeah.
It was, he was
Now-
just a good dude like you and I. You could, he would go anywhere and you get along with him. He was never
Yeah.
causing drama.
Yeah.
I always liked the dude. I had nothing bad to say about him.
Now, were you still in the area when his father passed?
I was, yeah.
Was that like a big thing?
It was.
Yeah.
The ceremony for his dad's funeral was enormous. And I think that really crushed him.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he went in for a basic hernia surgery.
Yeah,
You
simple.
know, that's they do
Simple.
those.
Yeah, and you're not expecting that.
Right.
Similar to something like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Which,
that's wild. Now, so that was a huge thing, obviously, out there. Everybody knows about it. Did you start to you say that crushed him, and that's a big belief, especially in the documentary, that was a big aspect of when he started to change. Was there anything that people were seeing that was a difference?
I mean, not me personally, no, because, I mean, I graduated,
Yeah.
and, I went off to college.
You get a little out of touch.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
That part, the 2 years after that, year and a half, I wasn't around. I didn't really see that. But when he went to Florida, he came back a couple times, and me and a couple guys, we met up with him. He'd come down, we'd go out to eat, or we'd go, go out for the night, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he came back, he started getting all tatted up, and, and he came, the first time I saw him come back from Florida, he gained like 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And he was just a beast.
Really?
And, he was loving Florida.
Yeah. Any difference?
But you could tell
in
his demeanor was a little different.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you could tell. I don't know if it was just, living the lifestyle down in Florida, and, you're on your own for once, and you don't have to worry about anybody else, or, you just,
I think part of what my belief was that, especially after his father died, probably a little bit of structure is lost in your life. That male figure, especially if he's the guy that's keeping you grounded, or somewhat, even if there's a fear level there, that if he feared his father, then it was enough fear to keep him in check from doing, reckless things. But I also believe that, I'm sure his athlete status didn't help the situation because they're catered to. You know what I mean? he probably went to Florida, and there's the stories of him like not paying his bar tabs, punching people up and shit, and he's getting away with it. That probably started to really give him that rebel mindset of who's going to stop me? Nobody's, I'm this superstar, and nobody's really telling you not to do it, and you're getting away with it. So he comes back every once in a while getting tatted up. You see his demeanor acting differently and this and that. When did you was there any concern from anybody?
Not in particular. I mean, we again all tatted up. What else?
You guys are still young at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he was like 20, maybe 19, 20.
Yeah. So your mindset at that time, I even look back at it, and my mindset's way different. But the way it works too, you're not thinking like anything that he's doing is reckless. If anything, your mind is still somewhat immature, so you're thinking it's either cool or especially this is a big time athlete playing at a big time school. Right. Did you guys think that he was going to go pro at that time?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch college football,
yeah.
and I would watch college football just to watch him play.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, this dude's going to make it.
Yeah.
If he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to make it. And we'd watch him with Tim Tebow, and they win the championship. And I'm like, dude, this dude's gonna go.
Yeah. So then he gets drafted, and he goes to the Patriots.
He goes to the Patriots. We're like, oh my gosh, he's going to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like really?
Tom Brady
going to the dynasty.
Brady. Were they already winning Super Bowls at the time he got drafted?
Did what?
Were they already winning Super Bowls at the time he got drafted? Did the dynasty start yet?
Oh, I'm sure they had a couple.
They already had some.
I'm not a sports buff by that means, but I'm pretty sure they did because he's got 5 rings.
Yeah, I think he does. I'm not sure
exactly
how many, but I will say you're coming into a obvious dynasty or whatever if they were yet or not, but you're coming into what's probably one of the biggest arenas in sports, Super Bowl champion team, and a lot of people say that was like kind of a bad place for him to be because it was so close to home.
Yeah.
Did he come home a lot? Did you guys ever interact when he was on the Patriots?
Oh yeah, yeah. So he would come home and we go out to the bars in West Hartford or downtown Hartford. We go out.
People recognize him.
Yeah, yeah. So he'd be out and you could tell like we go out or we knew he was home. I'd go meet up a couple buddies. We'd go meet him somewhere and he didn't like a lot of people coming up to him all the time. Like he just wanted to come home and just be a normal dude again. Really? He didn't want to be a professional football player. Everybody's going to want to talk to you. Let me shake your hand. Let me do this. Like, he just want to go out and just...
Yeah. So he liked to just not be bothered.
Stay, just like we were still in high school when we were going out.
But he wasn't an ass. Was he an asshole about it?
No, if people wanted, say what up to him, he would say, he was not... I never saw anything where he was
rude,
just being a douchebag to people just because.
Well, that's the other thing in that documentary. They kind of play it like he was this... kind of like reckless asshole in a way, like when he went out into the clubs and stuff, like, oh, you spilt a drink on me, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you never experienced anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And you probably, you're in nightclubs with this dude. You're seeing how he acts, and he's never given you guys any reason to believe that he would ever do anything like that.
Yeah. I never saw anything that.
He was just... That's got to be kind of a surreal experience. I mean, I've never hung out with a dude who's winning Super Bowls and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's going through your head?
It was kind of cool. You come back and you'd be like, dude, I know this guy and I can hang out with him and, meet him at the bar, have a couple of drinks with him.
Yeah.
And...
You ever talk about, stories or anything like that? Like, was he ever, vocal about his experiences as a player?
Not a whole lot. I mean, he would talk about some, meet. It was cool for him to meet certain NFL players and stuff like that. How he was like, man, I got to meet. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but just meeting guys that he watched on TV when he was a kid. Or
that's cool to see him. Him be happy about that stuff, excited. Yeah, to see the players that he looked up to. But meanwhile, he's a Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's crazy.
And he was confident on the field. Like, you would watch him play, and he was just... I really enjoyed watching him play. He's just a beast, man. He would take it, and he could run, he could catch, he could do it all, and he was a beast.
Now, you knew all these other people that were in the documentary? Like some of them. What about
Yes.
the dude that was on the stand? Like that he apparently was like a gangster with or whatever. That had the lazy eye.
Oh no!
Was that dude really around?
I
He wasn't. He
never
didn't
saw
grow
him.
up or anything.
I
He
never
just-
met him. I never saw
No.
him.
These other dudes, like the gangster dude, like the dudes that he actually did the murders with. Were
It's
those
like
dudes around?
Carlos Ortiz. I knew him when I was younger because I played basketball at the Bristol Boys and Girls Club, and he used to go there.
Yeah.
So I knew of him from that. I never hung out with him.
Did
but
he ever have a reputation of being like a bad dude?
I mean, he used to do not when I
Or more like a
knew.
wannabe
I mean,
bad dude?
yeah. I mean, he would steal bikes and
Yeah,
like do
nothing
little
crazy,
shit, but
yeah.
I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah,
to
he
him.
wasn't a dude that
I never
people
hung out
were,
with them.
he
dudes.
wasn't a dude that people were like scared of. Really, like they thought he was a killer, like big time.
No.
Yeah, he was just a small time criminal type dude. The dude that now there was these things going around, like that one dude on the documentary that says that he had the gay relationship with him. You remember that dude from
Yeah.
school?
Yep.
Was that dude out of? He wasn't out of the closet in school, right?
No, when I heard that, I go, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you ever see them together like that? Really?
no, never,
No. Yeah.
never. And when I knew them in high school, I mean, they were a couple years younger than me, but we were on the football team, so you know everybody there. You joke around, you do whatever. It was never saw that side of either one of them.
Yeah. And it wasn't like they were buddy with each other and stuff like that a lot.
No,
No, yeah.
No.
Which you would think if that was something like that was going on, they would. That most likely would happen. There would be at least some type of friendship where people would see that they're friends or think that they're friends. And if you're not really getting that vibe, then more than likely you can't really figure. You're gonna have questions about whether that really happened. But there was the other thing going around, like that kid was running around saying he was the quarterback. He really wasn't. And somebody else was the quarterback.
well, Matt Greer was the quarterback too, and then you had, Sansucci. They weren't. He wasn't a starting quarterback when I was in school.
Yeah.
He
was
did
more,
do quarterback work.
Okay, gotcha.
He was in that position,
Yeah.
so that I don't know where that came from, but
Yeah, I think they probably just hyped it up. I think what the documentary does, like we said, to get people like talking and stuff like that, and probably start drama like this too, is for them to build their relationship up. You know what I mean? Being like, oh, he was the quarterback, he was the star player. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
want you to think that. That's why people come out and they're like, he really wasn't the quarterback. This other dude was more of the quarterback. But that just shows you how they try to structure that out. Now, when this comes out that this dude murders somebody, what's going on around Bristol?
people were definitely talking about it. It was, I mean, you had both sides to everything. You had the people saying, "Oh, we knew something was going to happen," and they, the Patriots, if they waited, everybody waited. If he couldn't, keep his shit together, that's why nobody wanted him, and he would go.
He wanted to be
forever
traded.
if he could keep, stay on the straight and narrow. But
Right.
this is what everybody was worried about, and then you had the other people that were
Yeah,
saying,
but you know what? Were they really? Because
You never
my opinion is nobody said shit to him. I'm sure nobody ever said, "Aaron, what are you doing, dude? You can't do this." Why? Because he's the money guy. He's the big superstar. Everybody's really living life off of him. In a way, even if you're not indirectly financially benefiting from him, but even if you go out to a club and he's the one buying the drinks and the bottles in the VIP area, you know what I mean? Who's going to tell him no?
right?
So then after the fact, when something happens, everybody's like, "Oh, I knew something was going to happen," or "I knew this was going to happen." And okay, where were you before?
Right.
So now, then he gets arrested. You guys were friends with this dude. Then he kills himself. What the hell are people thinking?
I was definitely shocked. I don't know. It was, I was mixed. It was either, why would he do that? You just got.
You weren't even guilty, found guilty yet.
Right. Well, you were just acquitted of the
other
the
one.
double murder charge, right?
Right.
And
Well, actually,
then,
he
you know,
might have. Actually, he was found guilty, I think, of the first murder, right? Of the Odin Lloyd. When he, I think
Odin
he was,
Lloyd, yeah. So he was already
guilty,
in prison
yeah.
for that.
He was already in prison.
But then they
but he
brought
could
him
have
back for
he could have appealed it.
Right. So after the double murder or the Abreu's,
Yeah. Got off.
yeah, and like, all right, so then he could appeal.
Yeah,
After
you
that,
had a
he
chance.
could appeal his. Yeah.
You had a chance.
So he was gonna. That's what he was gonna do.
Yeah. So people are
So
wondering
how
why.
how 2 days later, why would you kill yourself?
Yeah.
I
They talk
thought about that for a while.
They talk about the CTE, things of that nature. I do think that is something that is needed to be addressed, and is a possibility of why his personality maybe was changing. We don't know. The fact of the matter too is they can't. I don't think there's really any way to test for that yet while you're alive.
Right.
They can only look at it after. Like, what's going on with this dude Antonio Brown, another player? I mean, I don't know if you follow football, NFL, but he's another player who's going nuts right now. You know what I mean? And they talk about it's possibly CTE. I actually saw a video somebody tagged me in of when they believe the change in him started to happen, and it was a hit where he got hammered on the field in his head, and I was even like, holy shit. And apparently that's when his personality started to change a bit. But I mean, the other aspect of it is you don't see all these players going out really and killing people a lot. You know?
No, you don't.
So I don't know what to believe. Well, was the CTE really making this dude go nuts? But on the other end, there's probably a lot of NFL players that have CTE, but I don't see these players really going out and murdering a lot of people. I did just see Kareem Hunt. Did you see this? Kareem Hunt get caught. I was at the gym watching it. I gotta look into it more. He's on the highway, I guess, pulled over. You know who this dude is?
Yeah.
He's on the highway, pulled over in like a Bentley or an Aston Martin, some big money car. Cop pulls him over or stops to see what's going on. He had like weed in the car and like vodka in the car, and I think I think he might have already popped for something before. I'm not sure. I think he got suspended. He was on suspension for something. I don't know if it was for weed before. So. And I think he lies to the cop, and the cop's really, like, trying to help him out, too. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I look at it, and I'm like, these dudes are just, it boggles my mind. Millionaires living lives that people would just, like, dream of, and you do dumb shit like this.
But at the same time, think about it. They all think they're untouchable,
Sure.
you know? Like, oh, I'm going to smoke a little weed, drink some vodka, I'm going to take,
It's
That's
probably
not very different than the normal person out there, in
True.
a sense. You know what I mean?
You're very true.
You got
That's a good
dispensaries
point.
popping up everywhere. People are smoking pot everywhere. People are drinking and driving everywhere. Just because you're driving a Bentley and you got a road soda, and you're gonna smoke a little weed and you're gonna drive wherever.
You're right about that. I mean,
It's
there
just
is
a big deal because
there
you're
is
a professional NFL star.
That is a good point. I mean, they do get probably hammered more than anybody else in reality. I mean,
They're held to a higher standard.
it
That's
is,
why.
yeah, same as all police officers and things like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? But
You're supposed to be a role model.
That is
People
true.
look up to you.
that is true. I didn't think of it from that aspect, but that's a great point as well. But in reality, they are just normal people too. And I'm sure being in the limelight is stressful. I'm sure living that NFL life is stressful. I'm sure you got people hounding you for money. That's why these dudes go broke half the time. I watched that. I don't know if you've ever seen that. There's that ESPN 30 for 30 about all these dudes going broke and shit. So their lives are just... That show Ballers really does kind of put it in perspective. You ever see that with The Rock?
I have.
Watch that, dude. It's on
Okay.
HBO. He's basically an agent, former player agent, but he's like really like cleaning up a lot of these players' messes throughout the whole series. Great show. But anyways, dude, unbelievably good to see you.
You too, man.
And your story's awesome. That's why, I wanted to bring you on to have people hopefully feel motivated and understand that there's normal people out here going through really tough things in life, but those things are making them realize a lot about themselves, realize a lot about what life really means, at least to them. And that's what's really important in life is not everybody's life means the same to each other. You will find that on your own, but you have to embrace it. You have to, sometimes it just hits you. You can't really look for it.
Right.
Okay, and it happened to you. It happened to me. I know a lot of people it's happened to, and then we're going to be bringing a lot of those people on here to talk and motivate and make people understand that take control of your life. You know, not to bring up Kobe Bryant, but a guy that was beloved by a lot of people, looked up to by a lot of people, and is gone. Nobody thought that would ever happen. Same thing like you, dude. One day can all be taken from you.
All right.
So I'm a big believer in telling people, live the life that you want to live. Do what you want to do. Don't hurt people in the meantime. And if you do it like that, then most likely good things will happen to you. But at the same time, don't let that fear stop you from living your dream, because one day it might be taken from you.
Absolutely.
But Eric, I'm very proud of you, man. Very good to see you, my dude. I'm super, super happy that you're still here with us, and that you're doing good. Your girl is unbelievably strong woman, and I hope that you keep her around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll keep in touch, dude. I mean, listen, all my guests are definitely free to come back on. I'm sure people are going to want to see how everybody's doing down the road, so we'll keep this as an open thing. All right, man. So
Sounds
take
good.
care. Have a good night, everybody else. I hope you enjoyed it. Look out for the next episode. Obviously, we're putting these up, trying to put them up every week. We're going to be coming out with some apparel, hats. We already have some hats made. We'll be putting those out. Check us on the Instagram. We are on Spotify, BuzzFeed, what else? YouTube, SoundCloud. Just trying to really hit it everywhere. So anybody that's interested in coming on, talking, or has a story to tell, DM us, get in touch with us. Have a good night.